Level 1. $0. Broke. You're 22, you're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and you're broke in the specific way that means you've done the math on everything: the Uber fare, the handle of vodka, the cover charge 3 times each before you left the apartment. You know exactly how much nothing you have. Tonight you just want one night where you're not doing the math. One night where you walk in somewhere and nobody can tell. You're in a parking garage drinking warm vodka from a plastic handle, because inside, the same drink costs $14 more than you make in an hour. You talked 3 friends into this. At the door, a man named Marcus runs the list on his phone. You're not on it. He lifts the rope for the girls behind you, waves in a table of guys whose night costs more than your car, and doesn't even look up. Not tonight, Chief. The cover's $40 every dollar and there's a line behind you. You hand it over, get in, and nurse one drink for 2 hours so nobody clocks you can't buy a second. Here's the part nobody tells you. That $40 didn't buy you a night. It bought the club a body to make the room look full. You're going to remember those 2 words for 20 years. And one day they're going to empty this whole building so you can drink in it alone. The only question is what it costs to get to the other side of that rope. Level 2. $25,000. You are tolerated. A year goes by. You get a real job, the kind with a badge and a direct deposit, and the number in your account climbs to somewhere around $25,000. Not money, but not nothing. Enough to decide you're going to do this right. So you stop standing in the cover line. You buy the wristband online, $25. Paid in advance, and you walk past the people doing what you used to do. It feels like graduation. It isn't. It's a subscription, and you've just made your first payment. You learn the rules Scottsdale never writes down. You learn that a 20 handed to the bartender on your first drink makes the next 4 arrive faster, and you learn it the way everyone does, by watching a guy in a better shirt do it and get a nod you've never gotten. So you do it too. You tip the coat check. You overtip everyone, because you've figured out that the price of being remembered here is paid in cash, up front, every single time. It works. A little. The host starts to half recognize your face. A bartender calls you, "my guy." You mistake this for belonging. It isn't belonging. It's commerce. On a good Saturday, this room clears $40,000, $50,000 across the bar and the tables, and your role in that machine is to be a paying body that makes it look full. You are funding the room. You are not running it. Then you make the mistake of asking about a table. The host quotes you the minimum like it's a weather report. $1,500, 2 bottles. And you happen to know what those bottles cost the club because you looked it up, about $30 each wholesale. They want $1,500 for $60 of vodka and the right to sit down. You do the math you always do. $1,500 is 3 weeks of your paychecks. 3 weeks of the badge and the early alarm spent on one night on a bench. Next time you say, you hate how it sounds coming out of your mouth, so you optimize the only thing you can afford to optimize, the door. You learn Marcus turns away sneakers, so you buy the shoes. You learn 11:30 means a line, and 10:45 means you walk in clean. So you start showing up at 10:45, sober and early, like a man with a reservation he doesn't have. You get good at being let in. You're proud of it. That pride is the trap. You've spent a year learning to be admitted to a room that will never be yours, and you've started mistaking the skill for status. Marcus waves you through the gate now without a word, no cruelty, no warmth. His flashlight just doesn't stop on you anymore. The night has upgraded you from unwanted to tolerated. And tolerated isn't a feeling. It's the absence of one. Then one night you're close enough to a velvet booth to overhear a promoter named Dargy working a table of guys in good watches. $10,000 a month in here, he tells them, and you never wait for anything again. $10,000 a month. You can't afford it. But the number lodges behind your eyes and won't leave because for the first time you understand the room was built by someone, that somebody owns it, and that somebody decided exactly where you stand in it. You decide, right there, that one day somebody is going to be you. Level 3, $100,000. You are a customer. You find Dargy. Of course you find Dargy. That number's been sitting behind your eyes for months. Your account just cracked 6 figures, and a birthday's coming up. You tell yourself you've earned one night. $1,800. That's the table. The markup is obscene, and you know it. A bottle that cost the club $30 lands on your tab at $700. North of a 2,000% climb, but you say yes, because tonight you're not paying for the vodka. You're paying for the walk, and the walk is everything. The host comes to find you personally, threads you through the crowd, and takes you past the general admission line. The line you stood in for a year. You watch the faces in it watch you, and the rope lifts for you this time, and Marcus, the same Marcus, nods and says, "Boss." 3 years ago, he wouldn't look at you. Now you're boss. You bought the nod, and it still works on you. Then the table teaches you what the table really is. It starts with the parade. The lights drop, the music swells, and a line of bottle girls marches toward your section holding sparklers and a sign with your name spelled out in lights. The whole room turns to look. For 9 seconds, you are the most important person in the building. You'll spend the rest of the night paying for those 9 seconds. You learn the mixers are a heist. $400 for cranberry juice and Red Bull, charged like they're rare. You learn the bottle girl pours fast and heavy, friendly as can be, because the faster the bottle empties, the sooner you order the next one. You order the next one, the one that pushes you past the 1800 minimum into open water. Of course you do. The table is watching. The bill comes face down on a little tray. $2,400. They've already added the gratuity 22%, discretionary, printed before you got to decide anything. You glance at it for half a second and you do not flinch, because 3 people you want to impress are sitting right there, and flinching is the one thing you cannot do. You sign. You smile. Then you excuse yourself, lock the bathroom stall, and open your banking app under the fluorescent light to watch a year of saving drop in a single tap. You feel sick, genuinely physically sick. And then you come back out, and a girl from the table asks for your number, and so does her friend, and a guy you've never met wants to. Link up sometime, and the sick feeling gets buried under something warmer and a lot more dangerous. The performance worked. That's the drug. Not the vodka. The vodka's terrible. The drug is the 9 seconds, and the nod, and the 3 people who think you're someone now. You do it again next weekend. You can't afford to do it again next weekend. You start planning how anyway. Above you, behind a glass rail on a level you didn't know existed, there's a booth with no sparklers and no parade, where a man watches the whole room without buying a single bottle. The spenders fill the floor. The floor was built for whoever sits up there, and you decide, somewhere under the sick feeling, that you are going to climb until that booth is yours. Monday morning, your phone buzzes. Dargy. You did good, it says. I can comp you if you bring people. Level 4? $500,000. You are valuable. You take the company. That's the whole turn right there. You say yes to Dargy, and overnight you stop being a guy who pays for tables and become a guy who fills them. The difference feels like winning. It isn't. It's a job you didn't apply for and don't get paid for, though everyone around you is getting paid. A promoter takes a cut of every table he seats, usually 20% of the minimum, which means the guy who invited you out is clearing a few $100s off your night before you finish the first bottle. By Thursday, 3 promoters are texting you. Not 1, 3. They figured out you can produce a table of spenders on a slow night, and now they compete for you the way the club never did. You read the messages in bed and feel, for the first time, wanted. It takes you embarrassingly long to notice you've become inventory. The comp is the lesson. They tell you the table's on the house, and it is technically as long as you hit the minimum. 5,000 in bottles. So the free table cost you $5,000 to keep, which means it was never free, which means comp is just a leash with a nicer name. You learn to read a minimum the way you used to read a price tag. You know everyone now. You know the bottle girl's name and that she's putting herself through nursing school. You know the host's birthday. You know which nights are dead industry nights, where the room is half staff, and which nights are worth the entrance. You time your arrivals to the minute. You've become a recurring character in the economy of a nightclub. And the worst part, the part you'd never say out loud, is that you like being known more than you like being there. Then one night, you watch yourself get turned away. He's 22, maybe. Wrong shoes. Last $40 in his account, you can read it from across the sidewalk because you used to wear that exact face. Marcus is running the list. The kid's not on it. And Marcus waves you through the rope at the same moment he's telling the kid to go around the side. For 1 second, you almost say something. One word from you and the kid walks in. You feel the word sitting in your throat. You don't say it. You walk in. The rope drops behind you. And somewhere under your ribs you understand exactly what you've become, not the guy who beat the system. The guy the system promoted. The rope is still a wall. It just moved you to the inside of it, and you let it, and you do it again. You order a drink you don't pay for and don't taste. The treatment is seamless now. Marcus lifts the rope before you reach it. He greets you by name. He has completely forgotten the night he told you not tonight, Chief. And you have completely not forgotten it, and that gap between his forgetting and your remembering is the only thing about this place that still feels like yours. Late in the night, a bottle arrives at your table that you didn't order. Not from a promoter. From a man in a quiet suit who owns part of the building, who's been watching you fill his room for months. He doesn't introduce himself. He catches your eye, tips his glass, and says 4 words over the music. Come find me upstairs. Level 5. $1 million. You are preferred. Upstairs is a room you didn't know the building had. Not the VIP. Everyone downstairs thinks the VIP is the top the same way you once thought the inside of the club was the top. This is above the VIP. Past a door with no sign, up a staircase a bouncer steps aside for. Into a room with better chairs and quieter music, and a view of the whole floor you used to stand on. The man from last night is named Sokol. He owns this. He waves you to a seat. A bottle appears, and when you reach for your card, he laughs and waves it off. No minimum. No tab. On a packed floor of 40 tables. Maybe 2 are real house money comped. No strings, and the rest are paying full freight to look like they aren't. You're one of the 2 now. For the first time in your life, the club is spending money on you instead of taking it from you. And standing in that room, the one finally built to make you feel something other than processed, you see the whole machine at once. The $40 cover at $22. The $1,500 minimum at $25. The company that was a leash. The nod you paid for. None of it was ever about you. It wasn't cruelty. Nobody up here hates the kid in the general admission line. They don't think about him at all. The whole thing is a sorting system running on its own, charging the people at the bottom the most for the least, and you spent years on the wrong side of it. Certain it was personal. It was never personal. That's the part that's hard to sit with. Sokol watches you have the realization. He's seen it on 100 faces. Then he says the thing that reorganizes your whole life in a single sentence. The spenders pay for the room, he says. But the room is built for the owners. You've spent 10 years renting the night, friend. You should think about owning it. You don't answer. You can't unhear it. The treatment up here is a different language. There's a text line straight to the host, no app, no list, no waiting, just a name in your phone that answers in 90 seconds. Your bottle is poured before you sit because they know what you drink. Your name isn't on a list anymore. It's a fixture. And somewhere in your second comp drink, it lands on you. You haven't waited in a line in 2 years. You can't remember the last time anything in a nightclub surprised you. Every night is arranged before you arrive. The chaos you used to claw your way into the thing that made it feel alive has been engineered out in your honor. You think about the kid you didn't vouch for. You think about the warm vodka in the garage. You think about how badly you wanted to be exactly here, and how here feels like a very expensive waiting room, but the sentence is still in your ears. Stop renting. Start owning. So you ask Sokol how a person actually does that, how you get from a good table to the booth above the booth. The one with no sparklers, where the real money sits and watches everyone else perform. He slides a number across the table. A stake in his next venue. Small by his standards, enormous by yours. You think about it for exactly 1 drink. Then you write the check. Level 6, $10 million. You are an asset. The check changes the direction of everything. You don't go to the club anymore. The club comes to you. That's the thing nobody warns you about ownership. The gravity reverses. You're a partner now, money in the walls, so the people who used to make you wait now make the drive. The host texts to ask what your table needs before you've decided to go out. The manager sends a car. One morning you wake up added to a group chat planning something called Yacht Week, and you laugh out loud, alone, at how completely you've been let in. You are no longer a customer to be billed. You are an asset to be protected. They give you the room behind the room. No name on the door. The music's quieter up here on purpose, because the product in this room isn't bottles, it's the other people in it. A guy who owns 3 hotels. A woman who owns the building 2 doors down. The night stopped being about getting in a long time ago. Now it's about who's already inside. And here's the secret you'd never have guessed from the general admission line. The richest people in the building barely drink. The bottles on your table are props. Full, sweating, untouched there so the table reads correctly in a photo. You spend $40,000 on a Section 1 night and don't finish a single glass, because up here the liquor was never the point. The point is who gets photographed standing next to you. You used to nurse 1 drink because you were broke. Now you nurse 1 drink because you're rich. Same drink. Opposite reason. Then, in the middle of all of it, you run into Dargy, the promoter. The one whose number you chased for a year, whose 10 grand a month rewired your entire 20s. And he's nervous. He's holding a pitch deck on his phone, selling you on some venture, calling you boss. And this time he means it. The word isn't a hustle anymore. It's just true. You should feel triumphant. You feel vertigo. Because the whole ladder is suddenly visible beneath your feet. Every rung of it. And Dargy standing 3 down from where you are. Looking up the way you used to look up at him. Winning doesn't feel like arriving. It feels like height. You signed Marcus's Christmas bonus that December. He runs security for the ownership group now, technically your employee, and he has no idea none that you're the kid he turned away over a $40 cover. You could tell him. You don't. The revenge you carried for 15 years turns out to taste like nothing at all when the man can't even remember the crime. Sokol takes you to dinner in the spring. He's getting older. He wants out of the day-to-day. That first small stake you wrote has quietly compounded into real ownership across the group. And now he offers you the thing the whole climb has been pointing at the entire time, his controlling stake. Not a partner anymore. The owner. The room, the rope, the door, all of it yours. You think about the kid in the garage who swore he'd own a place like this someday. You say yes. And the second you say it, something you can't name goes quiet like the last stranger just walked out of the room. Level 7. $100 million. You are a relationship. Now you own venues. Plural. The single club in Scottsdale became 3, became a brand, became a name that operators in other cities want over their own door. Because your name brings the right people and the right people bring everyone else. You spent your 20s chasing promoters. Now you're the thing promoters chase. The access stops having edges. There's the after party, then the after party, then a room that doesn't officially exist, that isn't on any floor plan, where 11 people you'd recognize from magazines talk quietly until the sun comes up. You don't get put on lists anymore. Your presence is the list. The cover, the minimum, the weight, the rope, those are things that happen to other people. You're the reason the rules exist. They don't apply to the author. And somewhere in all that frictionless yes, you lose the one thing you never thought to protect. You can't tell who actually likes you. Everyone in every room either works for you, wants your money, or wants the photograph. You run the math on a dinner of 12 people and realize you couldn't name one who would be there if the venues were gone. The crowd you spent 15 years fighting your way into is a crowd you can no longer trust because you finally have the one thing that makes everyone untrustworthy. One night you're back in Scottsdale, the city where it started. You've got a car and a driver and tinted windows, and the route home happens to run past the first club. The original one, Marcus's door. It's still there. Same rope. New bouncer younger working the same list on the same phone. And there's a kid at the front of the general admission line, wrong shoes. Good shirt. The math already running behind his eyes getting waved around the side. You could fix it. One phone call. You own a piece of half the doors in this city. You could put that kid at a table with a single sentence. You don't slow down. You don't even take your hand off your knee. The window's tinted. He can't see your face, and you realize you don't want him to because the face he'd see isn't the kid who swore in this exact spot to come back and change it. It's the owner, the author of the rope, the thing that 22-year-old was furious at. You watch him shrink in the side mirror, and you say nothing, and the car keeps moving, and that not the money, not the venues, is the moment you understand what the climb actually cost. Marcus, by the way, is gone, retired, or bought out you never asked. The man you spent 15 years wanting to stand in front of, so he could finally see who you'd become, he just left one day. And nobody told you, and you never got the scene. The revenge didn't invert, it evaporated. A few weeks later, a man who's been circling your group for the better part of a year flies in from the Gulf. He represents money that isn't measured the way your money is measured, sovereign money, the kind that buys industries. He wants the whole group. Every venue, every door, every rope for a number that ends the conversation. And almost as an afterthought, walking out of dinner, he mentions the only people he himself answers to, the ones with $100 billion, who own half the buildings on Earth and never once go inside. Level 8. $1 billion. You are the exception. You sell. The number lands in an account and you become a billionaire on a Tuesday. And the first thing that changes is that NIGHTLIFE stops sorting you because sorting requires the rules to apply to you, and they no longer do. You don't get a table now. You get the building. A club in a city you're passing through opens 2 hours early because you mentioned you might stop by. A resort holds a residency on a private island where the only guests are the 9 people you flew in. A DJ whose name sells out arenas plays a 4-hour set for an audience that fits around a dinner table. His club fee is $250,000 a night. You paid it so 9 people could hear him. There's no rope anymore. There's no line. There's no Marcus, because there's no one to keep out. You've already decided who exists tonight. And in that perfectly curated silence, you find the thing waiting at the top that nobody at the bottom would ever believe. The best room in the building is the emptiest one. You did it. You removed every stranger, every weight, every cover, every sneer at your shoes, every flicker of doubt about whether you'd get in. And in removing all of it, you removed the thing that made any of it feel alive. The friction was the feeling. You paid $1 billion to engineer it out, and what's left is a beautiful room with perfect sound and nobody in it you didn't purchase. You think about what a night used to cost. $40 and a knot in your stomach, and a real chance you'd get turned away. That fear was the price of admission, and the fear was also the point. It meant the night could still go wrong, which meant it could still go right. Now nothing can go wrong. Nothing can go anywhere. The night does exactly what you pay it to do, which is nothing. You catch yourself late at the edge of your own empty VWASP. There's a vodka soda in your hand. You're nursing it. One drink, slow, alone, watching a room. And it hits you that you are standing exactly as you stood at 22, in that parking garage, holding one warm drink you were trying to make last, watching a party you weren't really part of. The garage and the penthouse turned out to be the same room. You buy the original club that year? Quietly through a new holding company almost on a whim. You think there'll be a moment in it you'll walk in, the kid from the garage finally owning the door that rejected him. You tell your team to find whoever holds Marcus's old post so you can stand in front of them and feel it land. There's no one to find. The rope's been gone for years. The building is yours, and it's empty. And the scene you waited 2 decades for plays to an audience of nobody. An advisor, closing a folder, mentions there's still one tier above this. The names that own the buildings and never walk into them. The people the entire night is built to attract and never actually touches. You want to see what that is. Level 9. $100 billion. Untouchable. At $100 billion, you become the name every club on earth would close its doors for. And you never come. That's the final inversion, the one the 22-year-old in the garage could never have pictured. You don't go out. You can't, really. The night became a thing that happens to other people staged in part to attract money like yours. Money that doesn't dance and doesn't wait and doesn't stand at any rope. Clubs you've never set foot and use your name as a myth to move bottles. A promoter leans into a table of kids spending their last $40 and tells them you were here once, that you stood right where they're standing, and they buy the table on the strength of it. Your name sells a $4,000 minimum to a kid who'll eat instant noodles for the rest of the month to cover it. You've become the thing at the top of the rope they're all pressing against. You're not a man anymore. You're the velvet rope itself. When you do go out 3 times a year, maybe it's into a space built and emptied for you, where every single person present is on a payroll or an NDA. You employ a host whose entire job is making sure you never see a stranger. You have total control over the night. You are completely absent from it. You stand in the original club one last time, the same building in Scottsdale where Marcus once worked the rope, where Soko once leaned across a table upstairs and told you to stop renting the night. The building closed. A man you've never met holding the door. The same sticky floor, redone in marble now. The same patch of wall where you nursed one drink for 2 hours at 22, terrified someone would notice you couldn't afford a second. It's the quietest, emptiest, most arranged version of a night you have ever stood inside. And you finally understand what the kid in the garage had that you spent $100 billion to lose. A room that didn't perform for him. 3 friends who were there for free. 1 warm drink, and the whole night still ahead of him, unpurchased and unarranged and real. You'd trade it. That's the thing you can never say to anyone on the payroll. You'd trade the closed building and the private island and the DJ, who plays for 9 people. All of it, to be 22 again broke, terrified, alive, with 3 friends and a warm bottle and a door you might not get through. The wanting was the whole thing. You spent your life killing the wanting. You were good at it. Now it's dead, and so is the night. Somewhere right now, that kid is standing at a rope. Last $40. A line behind him. A man on a phone lifting the rope for everyone but him, not looking up. Not tonight, Chief. The same night that would close an entire building so you could stand in it alone turns him away over $40. Both of you are out in the cold, for opposite reasons. The night knows both your names. It only says one of them out loud. If this one stayed with you, like and subscribe for more.